Hello and welcome back to everyone, and to another edition of NXT Out of 10, and it is a big episode of NXT this week. We've just passed Stand and Deliver, but we've got a special episode today with the men and women's world title on the line. So yeah, a lot going on, and without further ado, let's get straight into things. And we started things off with Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan quickly looking up as the crowd sang for Miss Parker. It was an even fight until Jordan created an opening with a vicious focus on the left thigh. This left Jada hobbled, struggling to hit the best offense without pain. Miss Parker hit the teardrop, but could not capitalise before Jordan rolled outside. Jordan returned to the ring with a springboard cutter for a near fall. Jada caught her driving and hit a Vulcan arrow for her own near fall. Miss Parker went for a corner, hypnotic, but Jordan ducked, sending it into an explosive turnbuckle, followed by a one-of-a-kind moonsault to win. It was quickly and obviously better than the first match between these two. In particular, they got more time to tell their story and wrestle a complete match. Jordan still struggling to play the heel with her style, but found more openings to build heat in a rematch, focusing on wearing down her leg. This gave Jada a chance to sell and build more sympathy, although the crowd were already behind her. One never quite reached its peak. It was nice to see both of these looking good. When someone left embarrassed. These two women should be considered for a call-up post-Mania, and neither a complete package, but it does not feel like they have much learned from NXT, and they could both do a fresh challenge. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to Joe Hendry, he promised he wasn't done chasing NXT Championship, focusing his song on Tony D and that title. Carver then arrived before Hendry got to the chorus. When Carver did not back down, Hendry bashed his guitar on his back. The big man was barely affected, bodying the former champ and sending him and security through the barricade at ringside. Hendry delivered a solid verse before Carver arrived, teasing he's not done with NXT just yet. However, the post-concert destruction indicates a different story is on the way. NXT has put so much behind Kyle O'Reilly. He's a big talented man. This is his biggest spotlight yet, destroying Hendry in his concert. If he defeats Hendry in the following match, it would make him a contender, and that could be an easy answer as Hendry goes to the main roster and Carver becomes a big star. Moving on into Kylie Anderson versus Skylar Ray, and Anderson arrived with confidence and delivered strong offense from the outset, nearly picking up the win after a spine buster. Skylar stayed in the action, almost picking up a surprise win after satellite DDT. Armstrong caught her diving and rocked her with a right hand. The former Evolve Women's Champion sealed the win with a Caddy connection. A solid if unspectacular debut from Armstrong, who could have been more dominant. Ray did not get her own entrance for this match and still relatively even throughout. The full NXT integration will not be complete until she works with bigger names. Parker or Jordan, I think, would be seen as big tests. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. We then moved on to the NXT Championship match between Tony D'Angelo and Ethan Page. And D'Angelo beat down Page early until Saints arrived, only to get dragged away by Shalada Hill via extended rope. The NXT champ avoided multiple attempts at Ego's edge and hit the forget about it for a near fall. Page fought back with a thumb to the eye and hit a splash for a near fall. All Ego introduced the NXT Championship to the match, where Page dropped D'Angelo onto it for a new Ego's edge near fall. The two fought to the announce table, where D'Angelo sent Page on the barricade, followed by a spear into the table. He finished the job with a spine buster to the win. A fantastic title match, highlighting his explosiveness throughout. While Page had some crafty answers to say in the fight, he was ultimately outmatched by the champ. It may not have been the best to spread out the NXT Championship and Women's Championship matches across the two nights, because this set a tough standard for Vice and Jane to follow. While this win and Saints and Hendry move into new roles, D'Angelo may have to wait a bit to see who will be the next man to come for him. Wins over Saints and Hendry will further solidify his reign, though, while Keanu Carver feels like the biggest threat to him. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Next up, Marsborn called out Dean Lennox, who arrived with Darkbait. The North American champ offered a title shot to Lennox, but he warned about it might not happen if Darkseid attacked him. Sugars took offense to Lennox, implying Lennox was Darkseid's leader, and tried to attack Bourne, who fought him off. Lennox and Sugars had to be separated by Royce Griffin and Cutler James afterwards. A solid segment carried by Bourne. His confidence and focus on the mic is infectious, and it's easy to root for him as a North American champion. He and Lennox would have a good match next week, but the stage was clearly set for Sugars to cost Lennox in some way. Internal conflict within Darkseid is a good move for the group, as it's not working as well as it once did. Sugars especially needs to be a stronger spotlight and could benefit from breaking away from the rest. As we then moved on to the Men's Speed Championship Tournament, EK Prosper versus Dorian Van Dux. Dux started the match confident and flew around the ring at the same pace as Prosper. He found himself shot by his opponent's resilience. Dux went for the shooting star press and missed. Prosper responded with a moonsault for the victory. Lexis and Birthright arrived to taunt Prosper afterwards as they prepare for next week. This was about as good a speed match as you can get. Both men flying from the start. Dux especially stood out with wild high flying despite his larger size. Prosper was always the big right man to win here, as he has been NXT's biggest project so far, though Dux made a compelling case here as having a higher upside. Each man could win next week, but King and Birthright need a victory at this stage to come off as a serious threat in NXT, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And in our main event, it was Lola Vice and JC Jane. Jane started slow, hesitant to match strikes and grapples with Vice until Henley and Laney Reid distracted the NXT Women's Champ, allowing the former champ to lay her out on the floor. The challenger tried to wear down the champion until Vice's striking prowess began to overwhelm the Jane. Another distraction set up a bicycle kick smash for Jane for the first true near fall of the match. Haynes saved Jane from a triangle with a tiger feint kick and setting up the rolling encore for a near fall. Reid caught Vice with a slap to set up another rolling encore, but Vice ducked this shot and hit the back elbow for the win. Kai Armstrong arrived afterwards by tackling her through fatal influence. Gray appeared on the other side of the apron to stare down Vice. Izzy Dane watched from the stage. Zaria tried to make her own statement by arriving with music, but Soul attacked her, starting to a brawl back to back while Vice slowly down the three challengers. It's a genuine shame that NXT didn't get into this more time, starting with 12 minutes left in the show, and we got a picture-in-picture break too. While they don't have strong chemistry, they both fought to make the most of this spotlight. The crowd was invested more so than anything else, and Jane put over Vice as much as she could, standing in danger of exchanging strikes with the champ. Even with Fatal Infant's support, she was barely finding openings. By the end, it was clear that Jane was delivering a final refrain for her championship dreams, and that might be the last time she's in NXT. Fatal Influence as a whole would make sense to head to the main roster, though WWE has a tendency to break up groups like this in a call-up. What is most obvious right now is Vice is a champ for a long fall, ready for a fresh haul of new challenges. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Overall, NXT gets a 6 out of 10 from me. The pacing of this show kind of let down a strong card, delivering quality matches and a variety of fresh and familiar styles, especially if this was a send-off match for JC Jane. Lola Vice v Jane deserved at least 5 minutes more time. Too many backstage segments hampered the show that should have been focused on matches and promos. Still, there's no denying the work of the talent, especially a fantastic Tony D. Ethan Page match. Joe Hendry set the stage for his own send-off as well, with Keanu Carver. Parker and Jordan up their game as well ahead of a big match. As a whole, NXT Revenge delivered in its first night, but the second night should focus more on the in-ring stuff. For this video, thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.